Good morning everyone, this is Mendez Eliza Marie Diaz. So, for today's video, I'm going to discuss the lesson 1 entitled Mathematics in Nature, but we'll focus to the 4 patterns. Before I go further, let us know together what are the 4 classification of most common patterns in nature. So what are they? These are the symmetry, fractal, spiral, and tessellation. So, since we already know the 4 patterns in nature, the next thing I do is to discuss each patterns and will cite 5 examples of each patterns for us to be able to understand what the message of each patterns really meant to say for us. But before I proceed, let me allow first to define what is pattern. So what is pattern? When we say pattern, it is a thing that is repeated or recurring arrangement, form, or design following a rule or a sequence. Also, patterns have 4 classifications. And again, these are the symmetry, fractal, spiral, and tessellation. Now, let's discuss the 4 patterns. Let's start from symmetry. So what is symmetry? When we say symmetry, it is a pattern that shows reflection of images. Examples of these are: this plant is one of the example of symmetry since it divided into 2. The second one is eyeglass. As what you can see, it is still divided into 2. The third sample of symmetry is this. The fourth one has this. I don't know what's the name of this plant, but this one is still one of the example of symmetry. The last example of symmetry is gumamela because it shows a reflection of images. Let's proceed the second pattern, which is the fractal. So what is fractal? When we say fractal, it is a pattern which repeats at progressively smaller sizes and angles. Examples of this are: this one is example of a fractal. Another sample of fractal is this. The third sample of fractal is like this. Another example of a fractal is like this. The last example of a fractal is like this. The third pattern is spiral. When we say spiral, it is a pattern that moves around at a central point and continuously widening. Examples of this are: the first example of spiral is belt. Belt is one of example of spiral because as what you can see, it is continuously widening. Another sample of spiral is mosquito coil. The third sample of spiral is spring of a notebook. The fourth sample of spiral is a bulb. Last example of spiral is lollipop. Like this. As what you can see, it moves around at a central point and continuously widening. So, we are now in the last pattern, which is tessellation. What is tessellation? When we say tessellation, it is a pattern that repeats figures, closely fitting together with no gaps in between. Examples of this are: first example of tessellation is a racket of a badminton. As what you can see, there is no gap in between. The second sample of tessellation is seat cover. As what you can see, there is no gaps in between. The third sample of tessellation is plastic screen net. This one. Another sample of tessellation is pen holder. The last sample of tessellation is pineapple. As what you can see, there is no gaps in between. So now, I'm done discussing the 4 classification of most common patterns in nature. And I already give 5 examples of each patterns. To end this, I hope you understand what's the difference between the 4 patterns. And that would be all. Thank you and God bless.